folks. We're here again. We're back again. If you're listening to us right now, we appreciate it. We're really happy that you're here listening to us. We, for the most part, are. I'm not sure if happy is necessarily the best word, but we are comforted to be here with you again, to be talking about stuff and laughing about stuff, hopefully, that normally in situations like this, I would say take our mind off of things, but I think it's ever so more important now, given the times we're in right now, to not take our minds off of what's happening, to not distract ourselves from the moment that's happening in this country, in this world right now. And it just seems that there's a lot going on, and there's a lot that should be paid attention to, and there's a lot that should be listened to. And like we mentioned in our statement last week, that we just felt that, or 2 weeks ago, we just felt that it was not time to put out an episode. But Drew and I are comforted by doing this show, by talking to each other, talking to you guys. Some of you have also expressed that the show has helped you kind of get through a lot of quarantine, a lot of stuff that's going on with the coronavirus before. So we are hoping that this will kind of help you smoother sailing through kind of what's going on in the country and the world right now. We are recording this on Juneteenth, and this is a day that is really starting to get recognition, and that's a good thing because of what's going on in the world right now. And I'm doing more listening than anything else. I'm trying to understand different perspectives all across the board. So I don't know if me particularly saying Happy Juneteenth is appropriate, but I mean, this is a day that I hope in the future is going to be celebrated for the reasons it should be. So we're going to get going with this episode right now. We appreciate you joining us, and we're going to try and have a good time. But again, just remember, please do not be distracted from what's going on in the world today. Please pay attention. Please listen. If we have to say it in this show, then you clearly haven't been listening very closely to either one of us for the past couple of years we've been doing this, but Black Lives Matter. And I mean, guys, Black Lives Matter. There's really nothing more that we can put on it other than that.
Nor should you.
Yeah.
There's no but after that sentence. There is no, and also focus on what matters right now, and that is Black Lives Matter. And any other phrase you want to spin off of that or try and correct someone, you are distracting from the issue and you're not helping. So stay focused.
Right.
You said it all. Sorry to interrupt, but I think it's important to clear that up.
Yeah. So here we are, Drew. It's good to hear your voice again, my friend.
You too, man.
It's good to be here again doing this, talk about some stuff. We got some fun stuff to talk about, some sad, unfortunate stuff to talk about. And this helps. This is nurturing to the soul to be here doing this with you. So to stand on some ceremony, just to put a smile on everyone's face, especially Drew's. Ladies and gentlemen, all rise. Court is back in session.
Ooh,
Welcome to another exciting episode of The Devil's Due. I am your host, Carl. With me, as always, is the man who I know would stand on the line next to me till the apocalypse comes, Mr. Drew Celestino.
Oh, that felt good. That was nice. That was nice. I'm gonna stand on some new ceremony if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Okay.
There
it
we
is.
go.
There it is.
What is the ale of choice?
I was hoping you were going to ask, because that means from now on, when I do this, you can ask me and I can tell everyone and give my recommendations. See? Breaking ground on content, Carl. This is
Forging New Frontiers.
This is the Thin Man Trial by Wombat IPA. So right here in Buffalo. And it's very good, actually. So I do recommend it. Thin Man Brewery, Trial by Wombat. Get yourself some. You can get it anywhere. Wegmans, Consumers, it's pretty standard. Trial by Wombat.
I see what they did. It's a play on words.
It's a play on words.
How are you doing, sir? It's been a couple hot minutes since we've spoken. How have your weeks been?
Well, again, I want to reassure everybody. I'm fine. You know, everything's cool here at the Casa de Drew. Dude's getting bigger. Dude started daycare this week. That was pretty big. But, you know, I think it's a good thing. Stressful for mom, first day especially. But working from home with him 5 days a week is a lot. So 2 days a week when we have no one to help us, he's going to daycare. So that's cool. It gives us a breather, a chance to really hone in and, you know, cover any bases we might be missing on the days when he is here at work and stuff. And just kind of clear our own heads for a day or two. But it's also good for him for, you know, socialization and, you know, routines and new people and, you know, just good things. So we're all okay here. My Pizza Fridays routine is going well. I make dough every single Friday, and I make pizza every single Friday, and I make enough dough where I can also make pizza every single Monday. So I'm something of a pizza chef now, on top of cooking a variety of meals every other day of the week. So I'm cooking up a storm, Carl. I'm like the second Michael Keaton clone in Multiplicity. I'm cooking up a storm and having a ball. I really hope you got that reference, because
does that make me the first clone or the third clone?
That's up to you.
Wow.
I say you could be the first clone.
Yay.
So, you know, everything's cool. But, you know, I'm not gonna pretend everything is cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've got to be really honest with you, man. I've been a ball of anxiety for a while, and it's for a lot of reasons. Obviously, we're living through history right now, and it's you know, I'm trying to take the positives from it. It's amazing that so many people can come together in the face of things that have been issues for so long, and finally they've come to a head, and we're seeing it in action. That's a good thing. And not to mention, not just here, but like globally, seeing things recognized globally for things happening in America is mind bending to me. And you know, that does give me, I as the word hope, I guess. I don't know. It's something, it's good to see. It's amazing to see, like, around the world, people rallying and people taking a knee, and you know, it's just for something that happened here, you know, in America. That's pretty incredible. And the moment is not lost on me, and it's amazing. But at the same time, like, you know, you're faced with it, and it shouldn't have to come to, you know what I mean? It shouldn't have to come to this, but it does. And with this comes the pushback, and with the pushback comes people coming out of the woodwork that just make you hang your head and lose faith in humanity. And that's been really hard on me. I'm not going to lie, dude. It's been really, really hard on me to see just the depths to which people can sink. And it's really trying, and it's really hard. And it goes part and parcel, not to the same degree as racial injustice and racism and horrible things that are associated with that, but it goes hand in hand with the COVID situation and people's complete indifference to other people's well-being and people's selfishness and just the ignorance and the belligerent Americanness of it all just makes me sick, frankly. I can't fathom the nerve it takes people to just pretend this is not a real thing. It's a global pandemic. Global. This is not just like some little local thing that doesn't affect you. No, man, this affects everyone, everywhere. Like, it's not going to go away because it's summertime and you want it to. I go to places. I've only gone. I go out. Dude, believe me, I go out very sparingly. Only if I have to, if I need something or like whatever. I'm not out and about hitting the town. I go places that are very specific. I get in, I get out, and by the way, I wear my mask, okay? And the mask is not to protect me from the virus. The mask is to protect you from anything I might have. That's what the mask does. It's a sign of respect. It's a sign of selflessness, okay? Now, 90% of the people I've encountered in places I've gone have worn, they respect that and they wear the mask, okay? Even if it's hanging off their nose, it's on the face, okay, you're making an effort. So it's not ideal, but hey, you put one on, right? But there's always one guy, maybe two, no mask at all. None. Just walking through the store. And the store has a sign on the door and inside posted saying you need to have a mask on. And the thing that really gets me is that these places don't do anything about these people that are strutting around with no mask on, completely indifferent to the health and well-being of others. Dude, look, I know numbers are going down. I know, things are looking pretty good, but guess what? It's that kind of lax attitude is why Florida is spiking right now, why Arizona is spiking right now. It's not going away because you want it to go away. Okay? And if we don't maintain a tight grip on this thing, it's going to come back and it's never going to go away. All this social upheaval, man, between all of this stuff, it has been just a lot to process for me. And Carl, you know me. I am a cynical person. I don't think that needs to be said. Okay.
Go on.
But even me, a cynical person, even as a cynical person, man, you would think that I wouldn't be shocked by this or I wouldn't be affected by it. I wouldn't be emotionally charged up about it, but I am. Like, it's one thing for me to be cynical and about stuff when things are okay, right? But things are not okay. And my cynicism is only being reinforced and hardened and being confronted with it in such reality. Straight up, dude. It's been really, my head's a mess, dude. I'm not okay. Let's just say that. I'm doing my best. I think we're all doing our best, but I'm really just not okay.
Yeah, no, I get everything you're saying, Drew. I really do. And you've been on my mind a lot the past couple of weeks because I know anyone who listens to the show knows that we can we can be on opposite ends of the spectrum on a lot of things, and we always joke around how you're the more pessimistic one or pessimistic one. I put a couple extra T's in there. I'm the more optimistic and hopeful one, and I think in these past couple weeks have really tried that part of me. And as I've said numerous times before, I claim the faith in Jesus Christ, and I try to live by that faith as best I can. I probably fall short more than I live up to it, and that's okay, because it's not solely by me to do these things. I know that it can just seem like there's nothing out there good in people right now, but I still have to believe, and I still have to cling to the hope that we can be better, and we can work to be better, and whatever form that takes, there's going to be times, and we're in one of them right now, where it just seems like there's no hope out there, and there's nothing redeemable about people. But is blame the media for only showing one side, blame this, blame that. I know that there's good people out there right now doing good things, and that the hope that we can be better, that we can better ourselves, even in the face of what seems to be insurmountable opposition. I have to cling to that, because our only other choice is to just throw up our hands and give up. And if we throw up our hands and give up, then, for lack of a much better term, the bad guys win. If we just give in to our base, frustrations and hatreds and angers, and just let those take over, then there really is nothing worth fighting for. But to quote and this is, I'm going to do my best at this, and it's unfortunately, we lost Ian Holm today. So in his memory, to quote a Hobbit, people in those stories had plenty of chances to turn back, but they kept going because they believed. And otherwise, what do we believe in? And that there is some good in this world, and it's worth fighting for. And I believe in that, Drew. And I know that deep down, as frustrated as you can get, as frustrated as I am, that there is good in this world, and it is worth fighting for, if not for ourselves, for our sons, to show them that the hatred that killed that man in Minnesota is not the hatred that rules the world. That we can be better for each other. We can show, if we can at least teach our sons that, so that they can carry on the fight after our watch is done, then to me that's worth it.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. I hear you, man. And put it this way, if I really didn't care, or if I didn't believe that myself, then I wouldn't be this upset. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I might be jaded and cynical, but it's because I want things to be better, and I believe they can be. And I get flustered and frustrated when I see just how screwed up things can be. And man, like you said, you use the words, and I say it a lot. It just feels to me lately like the bad guys keep winning, and I really need them to start taking some L's, like soon.
Yeah, they will. They will.
So anyway, now that I've got that out of my system, Carl.
The other night, I was seeing some news on Twitter and whatnot, and seeing some news on television. I was getting really depressed, so I decided to watch a movie. And I started to watch X-Men Dark Phoenix. 20 minutes later, I went back to the news because it wasn't as depressing anymore.
Oh, God. Wow.
I watched that.
Man, that's dark.
It's so bad.
Is it really? I can't even fathom it.
Bad.
Oh.
It's not Josh Trank Fantastic Four bad, which is now streaming on Disney Plus.
Oh, God.
Yeah. But yeah, it's bad.
Hey, I watched Black Panther for like an hour and a half last night. Maybe not that long, but the first 30 to 40 minutes of Black Panther, it was on TNT or something last night. I'm like, oh, Black Panther's on, and that movie's so great. It's awesome.
It really is. I finished just kind of going back over our weeks. I finished the first book in the current Thrawn trilogy.
Oh, cool.
Which is just titled Thrawn. I'm currently now reading Thrawn Allegiances. So far, the first book is really good. I really enjoy his character. Probably, I think I've said before on the show, probably one of my favorite non-film characters. Just a really, really good character. The second book so far, it's good. It's not so far. It hasn't done anything for me as much as the first one did, but it's good. And then after I finish that one, I have Thrawn Treason to read.
All right.
So
I'm reading. I'm finally getting off my butt, and I'm reading the only Grant Morrison work that I never finished, and I'm almost done with volume 2 now of The Invisibles.
Okay.
Let me tell you what, Carl.
Did you read all of Grant Morrison's Green Lantern?
I'm not caught up on it, but I'm doing my best. Dude, if he didn't get a check, and I mean a fat one, from the Wachowskis or Warner Brothers for the pretty unsubtle plagiarism that The Matrix took from The Invisibles, I'll be really upset because it's yep, there's a lot of Matrix stuff in The Invisibles.
Yeah, I have heard similar.
I mean, granted, it's different surface level in that, like, The Matrix is about technology and, like, Terminator, Skynet kind of thing with humans versus machines, like, as the overarching theme. But The Invisibles is about, like, the awakened versus the unawakened of humanity, and with a secret non-human group that has pulled the veil of illusion over everyone's eyes, and it's like that's really the difference. Invisibles is more like psychedelia surface level, whereas the Matrix is more technology, but the underlying theme is exactly the same, and some of the imagery and the trials and tribulations of the characters are like, it's like lifted directly from The Invisibles, and I had to laugh and be like, oh my god, like, this is not even subtle. But whatever, it's all good.
Is there a red pill and a blue pill?
There is a blue hashish that one must partake in to awaken to the real world.
Okay.
And there is a trial of jumping off of a building.
All right, yeah, I've seen something along those lines, and
a agent of the evil guys in a suit captures the leader of a resistance movement and tortures him and probes his mind for information and secrets about the organization, and just happens to be a bald guy who wears, black leather outfits and things like that.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. It's hilarious, actually. But anyway, it's good stuff. I'm looking forward to finishing it. Let's see, what else have I been up to? I still haven't finished Doom Eternal. No, I'm close to the end, but I'm not done, and I'm just not really in a rush to finish it. So I've said my piece on that game. Still playing a lot of.
You're not savoring it now. It's just kind of a chore.
I wouldn't call it a chore. It's just not a priority, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm still playing Animal Crossing daily. I have built the Celestidome wrestling arena in my Animal Crossing village, so that's a thing. I'm still working on the entrance ramp area, but the ring and the seating is all constructed, so that's exciting. I played and completed Firewatch for Switch over the weekend and last weekend. That was an interesting game. More of a first-person mystery story as opposed to a game. There's not a lot to do per se, besides interact with. You basically are a fire watcher in a national forest, a remote national forest. And you communicate with this other fire watcher in another location of the forest, and that's really the core thing you do is communicate with this other person. And you look around the forest for stuff, but you don't there's no shooting, there's no I don't know, there's limited puzzle solving. I wouldn't even call it that necessarily. It's really all about interacting with this other person and unraveling a mystery. And I'll say without second thought, it probably has some of the best voice acting and writing I've ever experienced in a game. So it was on sale for $7, well worth my $7.
Nice.
Yeah.
I picked up Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe Super whatever one because it was on sale for 30% off.
Yeah, it's a good game.
I traded in all my gold coins from previous purchases, which was $5 worth.
Yeah.
So I got it for $40 and let me tell you, Drew, you don't know frustration until you try playing a co-op Super Mario Brothers game.
Oh, say no more.
With a 4-year-old.
Oh, dude, I can't even do it with a 34-year-old. Co-op Super Mario Brothers is not meant to be.
I know, and he's just 4, and he's still. Even for a 4-year-old, he's starting to get down and whatnot. But there are just some times where I'm he falls in the pit or gets killed by a Koopa Trooper or something. I'm maybe you just stay in that bubble for a little bit. Let Daddy do some of the heavy lifting here, and you just stay in the bubble for a little bit.
Yeah. Co-op Mario is dicey, but anyway, that is actually a great Mario game. I've actually been thinking about picking up. I think they put it out. Did they put out Super Mario 3D World per Switch?
I don't know, honestly.
I know it was on Wii U. Let me see. Is it on Switch? Quick Google. We have the technology. It's not out yet for Switch, or is it? I can't keep up. It's so.
Yeah.
And Amazon has nope. Correction, it's not. If they port that to Switch, that will be fantastic. That game is amazing. And let me. The only reason I bring that up is okay. So Grant has gotten. He recognizes. Have I talked about this? How he recognizes Mario, and he loves Mario.
I think you mentioned this last episode.
Okay, well, he loves Mario, and he's only seen me play the 2D. I'm trying to I'm trying to ease him in, So playing Mario 3, Super Mario World, just to get him kind of like, oh yeah, that's Mario. And he recognizes the sprite, and it's fantastic. And he also recognizes the full-blown 3D version that we are comfortable with now. So the other day, man, I put on like I didn't have the game ready to go. But although I have sat down and played Odyssey with him a bit, and he gets pretty excited. Yeah. But we're downstairs, and I pulled up YouTube, and I just, I let him watch like a playthrough for a few minutes on my lap of Super Mario 3D World. And like, dude, he was glued, like, whoa! It was pretty awesome.
That is pretty awesome. Yeah, William loves playing it. We play, like, we split up the Joy-Cons when we play, and my hands are just not made for something that small to control.
I have tiny hands, and neither are mine, dude.
Yeah, that's a little frustrating. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for my weeks. Quarantining, more the same, whatnot. Dear listeners, we appreciate you, as always. If you would like to tell us about your week, send us any questions or comments to the show to be read on the air. You can find us at the following social media locations. You can follow us on Twitter at DevilsDuPod. You can go to Facebook.com/DevilsDuPod and like our page. You can email us at TheDevilsDuPod@gmail.com, or you can find all these resources available to you on our website, TheDevilsDuPodcast.com. That being said, Drew, we do have some emails. Our first one came in a little bit ago from Mr. Cyrus Moore, who's a frequent emailer to the show. We appreciate him. Greetings, gentlemen. Hope all is well. I'm excited for you both to dive into episode 3, my favorite of the prequels, and in the running for one of my favorite Star Wars movies. Sorry, won't be doing it this episode. Tune in next episode. But before you do, I want to harken back to your last episode in the Snyder Cut discussion. It got me thinking about DC animated movies. Most of them, in my opinion, are better than their live-action equivalent. No argument here. Assault on Arkham is a better Suicide Squad movie than Suicide Squad. Justice League Doom is better than Justice League, etc. Why do you think that is? Lastly, I'm actually looking forward to the Snyder Cut. I know both of you are not fans, and I totally understand your reasoning, but I'm a huge DC fan. I'm desperate for at least a decent Justice League movie. He goes on to quote, so if there's even a 1% chance that Snyder Cut is good, we have to take it as an absolute certainty.
Oh, God. Don't use that as justification.
I find a lot of flaws in the logic of that quote. But to go back to his question, why are the animated films so much better than the live action stuff? For me, it goes back to who has the creative control.
Right.
For the animated films and the television shows, the CW shows, for the most part, DC has the creative control in that. For the films, that's mostly Warner Brothers has creative control. Now, granted, they listen to DC guys a little more than they used to, but not nearly as much as they should, as evidence shows. The animated films, however, though, for a long time, that quality has been going down. Like, it's because ever since they did Justice League War, which was an adaptation of the first Justice League arc of the New 52, it's all been like connected universe films. The films are kind of connecting to each other. They're using the same character design, same voice actors. They're loosely adapting some of the comic stories, but for the most part, they're doing their own thing. And I kind of jumped off, and I guess they just wrapped it all up recently with Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, and I watched some scenes from that, and it just instantly turned me off. Just like gore and things getting killed left and right, super needlessly dark. I'm like, you guys are missing the point. So I'm glad that continuity has kind of wrapped up. Like, I don't need to see Shazam's leg getting torn off by parademons.
Yeah.
Like, dude, when I say gore, I mean like you see like gore, like because Darkseid crossbreeds parademons with Doomsday, which I mean, not the worst idea if you need something that's going to take down the Justice League. But like the battles, like the clips that I've seen are just like needlessly gory.
Nah, I mean, look, that's it's like the films are needlessly dark, you know? Like I don't know at what I don't understand why that at some point that just became the go-to DC aesthetic and tone. Why?
And again, it goes back to the creative control, because like you look at the CW shows, you know, Arrow had a dark tone to it. It was a darker show. Flash, direct opposite, because they understand that character shouldn't have that tone to it. You look at the movies, you know, as soon as the first couple weeks grosses were in on Batman Begins, they were like, okay, everything super dark, super gritty, super realistic. I'm like, no, that doesn't work across to everything. Superman shouldn't be that.
Right.
Wonder Woman shouldn't be that. You know, pretty much most other DC characters should not be that. So, but hey, if he digs it, he digs it. That's cool.
Yep.
It's just not our cup of tea. But Cyrus, as always, thank you for the email. We appreciate it. Now on to Mr. Adam, who is reconnecting to us. Former frequent emailer of the show back when we were a weekly show. Writes us, gentlemen, it has been a while, but I figured I would make a reappearance. Carl and Drew, what is the first board game you will play when we are no longer quarantined?
Oh, good question.
Yeah. I miss game nights.
As do I. That's got me.
Really,
that has got me thinking. We really should. We should decide this. Really.
I really want a game night so bad, but gonna be an adult about it. Gotta wait. But yeah, first game. I got a bunch of games in the mail that I ordered during quarantine. I'm itching to break out King of Tokyo Dark.
You have shared pictures of that with us, me and Alan. That looks pretty neat.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like there's some new upgrades in it and whatnot, and they've kind of built in the what was it called? Not the power ups, but like the character specific power ups you could get. The expansion pack.
Yeah. Mutations.
They've kind of built that into the game. And there's like a press your luck aspect to it. Like there's think of like a tower in Mortal Kombat.
Mm-hmm.
So when you reach one point in the tower, you can cash in and get this permanent upgrade to your character. But you can push your luck and keep going up the tower to try to get a better power up.
Cool.
But if you pass one, you can't go back to it, and you can't reset on the track.
Interesting.
So
I want to play this now.
Yeah. So I think King of Tokyo Dark for me. What about for you?
Dude, I don't know. I'm racking my brain. God, anything, to be honest with you. Like, let's just play something.
Yeah, let's get together.
Let's just get around the table and play something.
Yeah. Adam goes on to ask, are you excited about the new Bill and Ted movie?
Oh,
yes.
Yes.
We will be discussing this in the news, but short answer is yes. His next question is, what has been your favorite thing about being dads?
Hmm. Hmm. Um. Just what do I want to say here?
Yeah.
It's a lot of stress. No, I mean it is, but just seeing him become a little person is frankly incredible. So
Yeah. I think for me, it's the opportunity to connect with my father in a way that I hadn't had before. A better understanding of our relationship, and that's probably been one of the biggest gifts that William has given me. Like, you think when my father passed away, and you think, that's it. You're not going to be able to have those connections with them anymore on this side of eternity. But no, you have those connections through your child. Start to understand. You know that when your kid crawls in the bed, starts kicking you in the head at 7:30 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and you just want to punt him. You know somewhere your dad's smiling because you did that same thing to him.
that's funny.
Yeah, that happens a lot. So it goes on to say, stay awesome, fellas. Adam, thank you very much for your email. We appreciate it. Now on to the, what to call them? What to call them? Have we used the Riggs and Murtaugh of the Devil's?
It feels like we have.
It feels like we have. It feels like we have. So the Dennis Rodman and Hulk Hogan.
Oh, wow. I think one of them will be happy about that and the other will not.
Mr. JHL Smino, Mr. Alan Waiters. Starting with Mr. Alan Waiters. Hey, gents, it's been a while. Hope you're doing well and looking forward to a game night soon, as are we. Drew and Carl, who are your favorite black superheroes and why?
Do you want to go first? Should I go first?
I see. I'm going to be, basic vanilla guy in this and just kind of go with Luke Cage. I'm just as guilty as many others where I haven't sought out black characters for the purpose of them being black. I know that kind of sounds weird or whatnot, but I know I can definitely broaden my tastes and my consumptions when it comes to this medium that I love so much. But yeah, probably Luke Cage. I dig him over Black Panther. Either that or John Stewart.
Okay.
John Stewart, Green Lantern. And that's gonna come back around in news too, unfortunately. But yeah.
All right. I too enjoy Luke Cage a lot. And to think that for a long time in the comics he was like a nobody, and it took Bendis really working to put him back in the pantheon of Marvel's like great characters. So hey, thank you, Bendis. That you gave us something that we didn't know we needed, but Luke Cage is awesome. Let's see. I had to maybe lose my train of thought, unfortunately. In The Walking Dead, I was a big fan of Tyrese, the character Tyrese. I don't want to spoil anything for Walking Dead fans, so I won't say much more. But good character, and could have used more of him, to be honest with you. So, and let me think. I'm trying to think of other standout examples. if you've never read anything, this is an obvious choice on my part, but hey, I'm going to say it. The Superman of Earth 23. That would be Calvin Ellis, who is President of the United States and Superman. That's a cool character. That's a very cool character. I do recommend you check that out if you haven't.
All righty. Cool. Carl, with so many streaming services out there now, do you think people will get sick of them and go back to cable? No. I don't think people will get sick of them, but at the same time, I don't think cable's going away anytime soon. If anything else, just for like Drew, you mentioned the other night, you were going through channels and you came across, Black Panther.
Right.
There's still Discovery that can be done, not the channel, but the act on cable, discovering a show just by like flipping through the channels and just kind of going from there. Because I find it doesn't going to sound weird, but to commit to watching something on television is easier to commit to watching something on streaming service.
No, you are absolutely right.
And this is going to sound so like first world BS, but like if I want to watch something on Netflix, I got to boot up the PlayStation, switch the inputs, search for whatever I want on Netflix. Do I really want to start this? If I start this, am I going to finish it? How many days am I going to have to go to finish it? I'm flipping through cable channels. It happened last night. I'm flipping through the cable channels. Captain America Civil War's on.
Those have been on a lot.
Right at the airport scene.
Yeah.
It's right at the airport scene. I'm like, all right, hey, I'm in for like the next 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I totally get where you're coming from. There is so much. The thing with the streaming services, Netflix and whatever, I'm paralyzed with choice. Honestly.
Yeah.
Like the act of choosing something, like I can't do it. Like it's intimidating to me to make a conscious choice to watch something and commit to it. Whereas if I'm just, if I sit down and I flip something on, oh, it's on. Cool.
Yeah.
And I can get in and get out, and it's kind of non-committal, I guess, and it's just easier. It's hard to explain. Like we have infinite options, and yet with infinite options, it just makes me kind of go like, do I really want to watch that? What does it mean if I do? What does it say about me if this is what I chose to do for the next X amount of time? You know what I mean? Like all these mental games come into play.
I don't always want to go to the library, but I'll always thumb through a magazine at the doctor's office.
Well, not anymore.
Yeah, well, yeah. At some point.
They're not going to have those for public consumption anymore, dude.
Oh, magazines?
Yeah, my dentist office already said, yeah, we're not doing magazines anymore. Sorry.
Yeah, that was probably in the works before all this too. Anyway, I mean, how many people are, and everyone's just on their phones and whatnot. Okay, Drew, how relevant is HBO's Watchmen now with everything going on?
Oh my God! Talk about prescient. And it's not like these issues didn't exist before the murder of George Floyd. Like obviously, it's been building and building and building, and Damon Lindelof rightly knew that. And my God, just it's never been more relevant than it is right now. It's incredible. Yeah. And in case you don't know, HBO is offering Watchmen for free to watch right now. So if you have. I mean, go right now. Go watch Watchmen, please. It's amazing, and it's more relevant than ever. So, yeah,
really. So he goes on to say, "Keep up the good work. I'm still at a plateau with the weight loss, but I shall overcome it. Down 35 pounds.
35. My God, that's great.
Maybe I'll hug that man twice when I see him.
I've plateaued as well, Ellen. I'm 22 and kind of holding steady, but I honestly." There's not much more to go for me.
Yeah, I gotta get on a regimen myself. I can feel the quarantine 15 bulging. So, okay, on to Mr. J. Gelsomino. Drew and Carl, With the doomsday clock at about 1 second to midnight, what is the last movie you want to watch before the apocalypse does its business?
Wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. As a movie fan, that's a tall order. Do I want something uplifting? Do I want something profound? Oh, gosh, that's tough. I feel like my default answer to, what kind, like, if I had to pick one movie or what's my favorite movie or whatever, I mean, God, that's such a deep well to draw from. But on a similar question that was asked of me a month or so ago, I had a similar dilemma, and I keep finding myself gravitating back towards Ghostbusters.
Okay.
Don't know why. It's a excellent movie, and I've loved it since I was a kid. And watching it as an adult is a completely different experience, and a better one at that. And I love that movie to death. So if that's the last thing I ever watch as the world burns, that's fine with me.
Okay. If someone tells me, hey, world's gonna end, but you can watch one more movie before the end of it, I'm sorry. I hate to be predictable. Star Wars. Star Wars. Because I don't know if I'm going to get to watch Star Wars on the other side, man. So yeah, let's fire up the Falcon one last time.
All right, that's fair.
I mean, people say, "Well, you've seen it so many times." Yeah, there's a
reason why I watch it so many times.
There's a reason that these stories endure, as we're doing an anthology series on these stories. Yeah, it's gonna be Star Wars. I'm not original. Drew, Jay's question to you is going to be optional because of stuff we were discussing before we started recording.
That's okay.
In regards to the professional wrestling world. His question is: are there any British wrestlers left who haven't committed deplorable acts? And when do we tackle the now barren English wrestling scene?
I mean, right now, Jay and I could just go to London and be the British wrestling scene at this point. So, yeah. The less said, the better about this right now. But just needless to say, a lot of unsavory things have come out about the British wrestling scene, and it's gone beyond the British at this point. It's kind of It's everywhere, and without getting too deep into the waters for the listeners, just if I have to tell you that sexual assault is bad, I don't think I should have to tell you that. So, yeah, it's a sad situation right now. So let's just see where it goes, and hopefully we can all learn and things can improve. God, that's a theme today, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, would you guys be a tag team or?
Sure.
What was your tag team name be?
Oh,
Fish and Chips.
I'm gonna leave that to Jada to name our tag team. That's his homework for the next episode.
That's his homework. All right, Carl. Just want to say happy 45th anniversary to Jaws. How will you be celebrating? I will be celebrating with a case of apricot brandy, and my taxidermist is going to have a heart attack when he sees what I brought him. Thank you very much for your questions, Jay. We appreciate it as always. So that wraps it up for our emails. Thank you again to everyone who sent them. They're very much appreciated. All right, so as we mentioned earlier, we're not doing an episode 3 recap. For a couple reasons. One, life and time, just not really finding a way this week for a viewing of the film, and there is, as we it seems whenever we decide to take a week off, or 2 weeks in this case, a lot of news happens. So we got a lot of stuff to go over. Like, numerically, there's not a ton, but they are all things that we can talk about at length. And you know what? All these things are, fun things and things we enjoy, but we must start with unfortunately a sad note, and that is the literary world. I don't just say comic books. I say the literary world lost a legend and icon this past week. Denny O'Neil, longtime writer for DC, also writer for Marvel, passed away this past week. I think it was just, he's 88 years old. I believe it was just natural causes.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the corona or anything. This hurts because, folks, even if you don't read comics, you know Denny O'Neil's work.
Yep.
We
owe Denny O'Neil a huge. If you have enjoyed Batman in the last 30 years, it's because Denny O'Neil made him the way he is today.
Yeah. So
I'll let you elaborate on that, but
yeah,
that's
so. Batman was created by Bill Finger with light influence by Bob Kane.
Yep,
and that's the nicest possible way I can say that.
Yep.
If you are questioning that statement right then now, I would highly recommend go watch the documentary Batman and Bill. I believe it's on Hulu. So if there's any time where I would utter a profanity on this show, it would be directed towards Bob Kane.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my second favorite character of all time that we're talking about here, and very close behind Spider-Man. So Bill Finger creates Batman, and between him and Gil Kane, kind of steer the ship for the character up until about the 60s. And then the television series hits, the Adam West television series. And I am very happy that chapter of Batman people have kind of come back around on it and can appreciate it for what it is, because it deserves to be appreciated for what it is. But the state that left the character in, once the fad of that show wore off, was a very bad state. And the character was very close to being canceled by DC and just taken out of circulation altogether. So imagine that, a world without Batman. In comes Denny O'Neil with his partner Neil Adams. Arguably the best writer-artist combination in comic book history. They're in the discussion.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, they're
top three.
They're at least in the discussion.
Okay.
And they take Batman and completely reinvent him, bringing him back to his roots, as they essentially create the Dark Knight detective.
Yes.
So pretty much they bring Batman to being a darker character. They take away the camp. They do kind of I don't want to say a full-blown James Bond take on the character. He became very globe-trotting.
He did.
And it was influenced by that a little bit, because that's the Bond films were their first heyday. They were really big at the time. But they just reinvented the character and saved the character.
And not just Batman himself, but the Joker.
No.
And yeah. The Joker was a comedy character through the 50s and 60s.
Yeah. The Joker you know today, the Joker you know and love today, is a product of Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams.
Yep.
And they created a Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah,
they created
yeah.
Talia. If that was it, if that was all Denny O'Neil did, it would have been enough.
Right, but he didn't. No, he didn't stop there.
but he didn't stop there. It's funny because like we're talking about his work on Batman, but if someone came up to me and said, "I want to read Denny O'Neil, what do I read?" Without hesitation, I'm going to tell you: read Hard Traveling Heroes.
That was yeah. Green Lantern, Green Arrow.
Green Lantern, Green Arrow, two characters once again that nobody's reading, nobody's caring about. And Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams get a hold of them, and they are among the first to give comics a voice in modern day culture, modern day problems. They address racism. They address religion. They address drug use. The run is just mind blowing. If you go back and you read it now, you probably be looking at it like, well, this is kind of campy. Like, yeah, some of the dialogue might not translate as well nowadays, but you have to understand this stuff was revolutionary at the time.
Yeah.
Nobody was doing anything like this.
No, they made socially conscious comics at a time when that was like, I don't know. I mean, like you said, revolutionary stuff for the time. It was arguably ahead of its time, but it has to start somewhere, and it started with Denny O'Neil.
Yeah, and these are his two biggest ones. He also had seminal runs on Doctor Strange. He was editor in chief for DC Comics for a while. Folks, this is the guy that killed Robin. This is the guy who conceived and greenlit the killing of the Jason Todd Robin character. One of the all-time wow moments in comics.
And if that's not enough for you, he also is the person who named Optimus Prime.
Yes.
In case you didn't know.
He wrote a lot of the character information for the first generation of Transformers.
Yep.
Because, like, back in the day, when they knew how to do toys properly, yes, I'm being old man, get off my lawn, but I don't care because in this particular instance, I'm right. When they knew how to do toys properly, you got the full bang. You got the toy line, you got a comic book, you got a TV show, you got a breakfast cereal, and just it was great. And so when Hasbro was coming out with Transformers and they wanted to give these characters like names or personalities and whatnot, they took them to Marvel Comics where Denny O'Neil was at the time, and he came up with the name Optimus Prime and wrote a lot of the initial character bio and whatnot, and laid the groundwork for what we know today as Optimus Prime, not the Michael Bay.
No. The OG, the Optimus we know and love.
Yes, Optimus Prime. So,
just so you know, at Marvel, Denny O'Neil was the regular writer of Iron Man. He created Obadiah Stane. So, if you've seen the first Iron Man movie, you have Denny O'Neil to thank for the villain. He wrote Daredevil in between Frank Miller's 2 stints on the book, and he was also Frank Miller's editor on his run. And as his editor, basically, he kind of saved the series from cancellation, and he encouraged Frank Miller to give Daredevil a believable fighting style, and this basically led to martial arts and ninjas and whatnot in Daredevil, which at this point is like a core tick of the character. So that came from Denny O'Neil's influence on Frank Miller to do such a thing. And he was also editor on one of my favorite books and franchises, G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Scripted by the great Larry Hama. So, dude, legend.
This world is lesser without him in it. And yeah, so go, read, you can get pretty much everything we've been talking about in trade. Yeah, go check it out. And we definitely lost someone who contributed so much to the lexicon of what we know and love right now.
And it's amazing, all the stuff we just mentioned, and I feel like your average person doesn't even know his name.
Yeah,
he was a real comics. Comics fans knew Denny O'Neil, but he didn't. Yeah. He didn't transcend in the way like a Stan Lee or I don't know, some Frank Miller or whatever. But Denny O'Neil, man, what a legend! My God.
Yeah, if you listen to podcasts, which we know you do because you're listening to one right now, look up Fat Man Beyond, which is Kevin Smith's podcast. They originally started out as Fat Man on Batman, and he did a 3-part interview with Denny O'Neil that he put all together and re-released this past week, so it's the most recent episode. Go and listen to that. Listen to a master tell stories about his craft. It's amazing. So, Denny, you gave us so much, and we salute you, sir, and we will deeply, deeply miss you. So yeah, okay. That being said, now on to lighter fare. Drew, where do we start? Do we start in the digital world? Do we start in the film world? Do we start in the comic world? There's so many places we can go, Drew.
Dealer's choice, my friend.
All right, I'll just, you know what? I'll start at the top of the list and we'll work our way down. So, we got PlayStation 5 has been revealed.
Yes.
They did a launch video. I mean, obviously with everything going on in the world right now, E3 was canceled. It's not happening. So we basically just got like a big trailer for PlayStation 5 where they showed off a couple games, one of which we'll mention momentarily. But the platform itself has been unveiled, and it's there have been very few launches in recent history that went, at least for me personally, that went, oh my God, I have to get one of these now. And this is not one of those. This is not one of those. Just because I think console launches nowadays, with the exception of recent history of the Switch, the Switch had Breath of Fire at launch, and that was just
Breath of the Wild. Yeah.
Breath of,
and the Wii, not for nothing, had
esports.
No, the Zelda game. Why am I blanking on it? The
Twilight Sword. Twilight Princess.
Twilight
the Vampire Story.
Yeah, that one. Why am I blanking on this? Oh my, Twilight. It's Twilight Princess, right?
Plumber would use something in the garden.
Twilight Princess. Yes.
Red. It's okay.
And the only reason that those and the Switch, the reason why those were so anticipated was because they were announced for the console prior. And then due to timing and economics, they shifted those launches to be the launch title of that system, which just makes it a no-brainer that, well, I got to get this system day one because it's Zelda, you know?
Yeah.
So the PS5, I don't know that I need one at launch. However, the Spider-Man Miles Morales game could tempt me.
Yes, we'll get to that momentarily. I want to focus on the console itself right now. Yeah, I mean, everything I saw was, I mean, it looks good. There's nothing that they showed that I went, really?
I mean, besides the console itself, you know.
The console itself, you know what? They're trying to make it look different than a box.
I hate it.
So
God.
I give them
Thanks, I hate it.
Full credit for trying.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need my console to look cool. I just need it to function. So I think one of the most interesting things that caught me by surprise was the idea that there will be a traditional console that you would buy game discs for and put them in, and then there will be a digital only version of the console with no disk drive whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Only digital. So now we've talked about this in the past. At what point are consoles going to go the route of 100% digital? And I think this is probably, if you want to like force that movement earlier, I thought initially we were another 2 or 3 generations off from it. But I think if you want to kind of force that changeover earlier, this is probably the smartest way to go about it.
It's a toe in the water for sure.
Yeah, because to come out and say just the console's fully digital, that's it. You're taking such a risk.
Totally.
But to give people the option is really smart. And it'll allow you to gauge where the market is for something like that.
I'm curious about that myself, but I have to admit that, I mean, I'm reluctant. I've gone on record about this for artistic reasons. I don't like the idea of not having a physical copy of something that I can play at my discretion.
Right.
But on top of that, like, I think if they once someone commits to digital only, no physical media, you are alienating a significant portion of the user base. Not everyone in this country has reliable, high-speed internet. Now, I don't know how many. It's up to some bean counter at Sony or whatever to decide if that percentage matters to their bottom line. But I hate to think that there's a line in the sand being drawn saying, like, well, we don't care about those people. We're just going to, they can get with the program or not. And that's kind of not the way I see things. I feel like everybody should be allowed to, be included. Well, in any case, the PS5 will be that way. There will be 2 versions available. So we haven't entered the fully digital waters yet. But those are my concerns about a fully digital future.
So now, okay, so I have a first-gen PS4.
Uh-huh.
I believe the first gen was 500 gigs.
Yeah, that's what I
have. I have 2 games on my system right now.
Okay.
I have Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and I have Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I literally can't fit anything else on the system.
Well,
so
I have to imagine that it's going to ship with a terabyte drive, right?
Every update that comes out for Call of Duty is like 23 gigs.
Yeah, and these new games are certainly not going to be smaller.
Yeah, so like for a digital only system to be realistic and house multiple games, what size do you think the drive has to be?
A minimum of a terabyte. Minimum, if not 2. And even that, given what you just said about the size of the games you have, like even that feels like small, you know?
Yeah, because a terabyte is 1,000 gigs.
That's correct.
Okay,
double the PS4's launch model capacity. Right. I mean, does that seem like enough?
I guess it all depends on the size of the forthcoming games.
I guess, but like I said, I cannot imagine that they're smaller because you're talking about higher resolution textures. Just the very nature of higher res, better graphics. It's a bigger file size. It's how it is. Yeah. I don't know, man. But you know what? I'm not. To be honest with you, Carl. Like, I don't. I'm so. This is a product of me being old and jaded, but like, dude, I don't. This stuff really doesn't impress me anymore. I just want to play fun games that really move me in some way. You know what I mean? And
no, I get that. I think that we've
graphics and all that just doesn't move the needle for me at all. Just if I see a game is highly rated, highly acclaimed, I don't care what it looks like, what platform it's on. I'm going to play it, I'm going to take it in, and I'm going to enjoy it. And that's really it these days. Everything else is just fluff. The fluff doesn't faze me anymore. I've seen through it all. I've heard it all my entire life. All these wars and specs and now everything looks everything looks good. Like you cannot fool me with that stuff anymore.
I think we've talked about this in the past where this current console war and future console wars are going to be more about functionality than graphical performance.
Yeah,
because I think we've hit a plateau with graphics for our current technical capabilities.
Fidelity is irrelevant now. Like, right.
So, I mean, like, for a perfect example, in the game we're going to talk about in a second, Spider-Man for the PS4.
Yes.
We both love that game.
Amazing game.
And, for all the talking we did about it, we might have mentioned once or twice that the graphics look good.
They're great.
Because it's like you said, it's expected now.
It's expected, and I want experience is more important. And man, does Spider-Man deliver on the experience?
Yeah. Speaking of which,
yes,
the first game they led with, they led strong in their presser, for lack of a better term. The first game they showed was a brief teaser for a follow-up to the Spider-Man PlayStation 4 game, Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yes.
Which we all met with a resounding, yes, please.
Yes, please. Absolutely.
We have it now. So, we played Spider-Man. We loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably tied for the best superhero game ever with Arkham City.
I can't speak to Arkham City. I played Arkham Asylum, which I enjoyed, but I enjoyed Spider-Man a lot more.
Yeah, it just...
Spider-Man is like the ultimate... We said it. We said it. It might be the ultimate not pertaining to the Ultimate Comics, mind you. I'm just using it as an actual word. Yeah. It is like the ultimate Spider-Man experience.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Until Disney launches its Avengers campus in California, and there's an animatronic Spider-Man swinging overhead, which is literally going to be a thing.
Yeah, I saw that.
There's going to be an animatronic Spider-Man.
I hope he doesn't fall. Anyway.
Swinging overhead. Yeah, I hope this does not turn off the dark Spider-Man overhead. I hope it's like Disney Imagineers.
So there was a lot of unneeded confusion about that announcement, though.
Right. So the initial thought was this is a sequel to the PS4 game.
Yes.
And then it came out that no, this is not a sequel. This is essentially a DLC pack on steroids.
Well, it's not that either, apparently, and this is where the confusion comes in. Because first they said it was kind of like loosely said that it was a sequel. Then the term remaster with extra content kind of got bandied about, which led to people thinking, oh, it's a remaster of so it is the PS4 game, but remastered for PS5 with all this new Miles Morales content. But then it's like, no, it's not that either. It's a whole new game, but it's not a sequel to the Spider-Man game. So now I'm confused because it's not a sequel, but it's not a remaster. It's a standalone game with Miles Morales.
You know what it is? You know what it is? Perfect example of what it is. So I told you I got the Super Mario Brothers Deluxe U.
Yes.
Right? And up top there's the option for playing Super Luigi Deluxe U.
Okay.
This is that.
Okay.
This is probably going to be that. It's going to be like a Game of the Year edition, which, okay, get all the DLC, which I played through most of it, was great. And then you get this kind of pseudo full game experience included with it.
I don't think they're including the PS4 game, Carl. I think it's standalone, Miles Morales, but it's not a sequel to Spider-Man. It's kind of a standalone game on the same engine, yada yada, but standalone.
So is it is it the Spider-Man version of like Spider-Man was Metallica's Load and Spider-Man Miles Morales will be Metallica Reload?
How do I want to address that? Kind of, but I still don't know because they're still not being super clear about it.
Yeah.
I mean, my understanding is this. It is a standalone game. It is Miles Morales' game, period. PS4 Spider-Man is not included in it. The only line of confusion now that I have, that most people have, is, okay, great. Miles Morales, standalone game, awesome, can't wait to play it. But is it also going to be available on PS4? And they have not really clarified that yet.
Which I kind of hope it is, only because
it's a tough call.
Aside from this, and it's great looking, but there's nothing that's really getting me up for getting a PS5 at launch currently.
Yeah, same. I mean, the launch to me looks very like ho-hum.
I mean, every indicator is saying the price tag's probably going to be $600, $500, $600.
Woo. That's a spicy meatball.
It's not to mention there may be a price discrepancy between the standard console and the all-digital console, which I'd imagine the all-digital console would be cheaper.
Yeah, it's the physical drive will probably knock $100 off.
Yeah, just because lack of physical components. They better not try and pull what restaurants pull when you order egg whites, charge you more for them. You're taking something out. Why are you charging me more for this?
Yeah, the launch titles though, just
Yeah, there's nothing right now. Now that being said, there was a fan poster put out that a lot of people bid on, but I looked at it, I was like, that's fan made. But there have been rumblings of Street Fighter 6.
Oh.
So,
would that get you in the door?
It depends.
Okay, fair.
I would let me put it this way. I am at a point in my life right now where just telling me Street Fighter 6 will be available at PS5 at launch is probably not going to be enough. I'm going to need to really see something. And also, like, I don't, as much as I love that franchise and I love fighting games, I just don't have the time to devote to them anymore.
I understand completely.
But yeah, no, there was a fan poster out there. I think Alan put in our chat. It was the flaming six, where the top of the six was Ryu's fist. And I was like, no, that's fan made because Capcom uses Roman numerals for Street Fighter. And sure enough, I was right. But we are kind of coming up on that window of time. Usually 6 to 8 years in between entries is kind of where they land. But there's new stuff coming out for Street Fighter V, so who knows where they're going with that. So yeah, I mean, obviously right now, if you're going to make me choose between the two, it's going to be a PlayStation instead of an Xbox for me.
Oh,
again.
Yeah. Same.
Just for, I can put the PlayStation on its side. And
look, at the end of the day, and as a Nintendo fan, I've said this for decades, which is, God, I'm old. It's about the software. It's about the games. And Sony, I know, is going to have better exclusives, at least I think they will anyway, than Microsoft will. So at the end of the day, I got to go with the PlayStation. And that's just the way it is. And the Xbox 360 remains one of my favorite consoles ever. Hands down, bar none. But the one dropped the ball hard, and I don't see it getting picked back up. And Sony is they get great exclusives, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So that's just where we are. And Nintendo's got a Nintendo, and you know me, man. I'm okay with that too.
Yes. And so projected launch for the PlayStation 5 is this holiday season. But Drew, there is another thing that is giving me many reasons not to jump on that PS5 wagon right away.
Yeah.
And that is just announced this past week, first with a story trailer, then last night with a gameplay trailer. Star Wars Squadrons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Drew.
It's like they shot this trailer into your soul, Carl.
Drew, I am trying so hard to not get excited about this.
Well, it is EA, so you can always have that slight chip on your shoulder about it.
At the end of the day, it's EA, and they're only charging $40 for it.
Now, you mentioned that. Why does that price point scare you?
Because what are they not giving me for that extra $20?
Okay.
What are they leaving out for that extra $20? Now, if they came out and said, hey, you know what? We dropped the ball on Battlefront. Yeah, it's a great game now, but it took a long, hard road to get that game to where it is now. And this is our way of making up to the fans for that.
That doesn't sound like something EA would do.
Right, exactly.
I'm sorry, but that's,
But if they came out and said that now, okay. But price points got me a little concerned.
Okay. Well,
EA loves them some money.
Yes. Well, that tells me that if it's $40, they're going to nickel and dime you on a lot of stuff after the fact.
Now, see, here's the thing, though, is that Disney is very unhappy with EA because of Battlefront 2. So I would be very surprised if they went to... They've already said no microtransactions.
Okay.
They've already said that. And I don't mind microtransactions as long as it's not pay to win. If you want to sell me some cosmetic stuff, fine. Sure. Okay. But as long as it does not influence game state. And they've come out and they've said no microtransactions, no loot boxes. So then my question is like, another friend of mine said, well, it's a flight simulator and they know there's not a big crowd for that anymore. Maybe. But even still, yeah, it's a flight simulator, but Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that aside, let's talk about the actual game itself. I saw the announcement trailer for this, the story trailer. It obviously looks fantastic. Graphics, like we were just talking about, top shelf. Looks great. The thing, and one of the things I love most in Battlefront was the starfighter combat. And ironically enough, like that was one of the things they neglected in the subsequent updates that have come out for Battlefront. They've never added new ships. Like I can't fly a B-wing in that, or like a couple different versions of TIEs. And they never really added. I think they added 2 new stages after Last Jedi came out, and that was pretty much it. And people really enjoyed it. Now it was a lot of fun, but it lacked the depth of something which we've referred to numerous times on our show, the PC X-Wing and TIE Fighter games.
Yes. Well,
which I think
this seems to harken back to those a little bit.
Yes, the one thing that I know we've discussed this a lot. One of the biggest missed opportunities of the Wii U was doing something, maybe not a Star Wars brand, but doing some sort of starfighter simulator with that kind of functionality in it. Now, when I'm saying functionality, folks, for those of you who maybe are not old enough to remember or just never played them, the X-Wing and TIE Fighter PC games that were out in the early 90s were simulators. They were not arcade-style shooters. They were full-blown simulators in that, like, if you were being chased down, if you were in an X-Wing and you were being chased down by a couple TIEs, now traditionally a TIE fighter is going to be faster than your standard T-65 X-Wing. You could shift your ship's power distribution from weapons and shields to your engines and make your ship faster. If you needed more punch, you could shift the energy to the weapons. If you needed more defense, you shift the energy to the shields. You could direct where that shield energy is going. Is it going to your fore or aft, your front or your back? So, like, if I'm in a Y-wing and I'm doing a bombing run on a Star Destroyer, I could put all my energy into my forward shields and take a lot more damage to deliver that payload than normal. This game, Star Wars Squadrons, in the gameplay trailer that was revealed, seems to have a lot of that in it. And they're selling it 2 ways. They're selling it as a single player experience. It takes place after Return of the Jedi, before Episode 7.
So we're in Mando territory.
We're pre-Mando. We are pre-Battle of Jakku, which took place approximately 1 year after Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
So the New Republic is forming, the Empire's kind of on its heels, but things are still kind of in flux. There are still stakes at hand. So the single player mode, and you play through both factions. You play through the Rebels / New Republic, and you play through the Imperials. So there are story modes for both, which I really like.
Cool.
And then you have online, which is, they've shown 2 modes. They've shown dogfight, which is 2 squadrons, 5v5, and it's just dogfight, 5 versus 5 points, what have you. And then they've shown what are called fleet battles. So you've got a small fleet that you're fighting for, and you do like a dogfight in the middle, and whoever wins that dogfight, the momentum swings towards the opponent's capital ships, and you have to try to take out the capital ships to win the fight. If you're not able to take out the capital ships, then it's kind of like a tug of war. It goes back to the dogfight in the middle, and then maybe they can push you back over to your side, where you have to defend your capital ships. That, to me, is very interesting. Another interesting thing is that all the gameplay that's been shown is from the cockpit view. There's been no third-person ship view footage shown.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a third-person view.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. It adds to the sim experience for sure.
It does. It adds to the sim experience. It's like you have the option in Battlefront to do that in the ship battles, but it just doesn't feel quite right. So I hope, obviously, if it's the only choice, then you will have to adapt to it in the playing of it. And that's what X-Wing and TIE Fighter were on the PC. They were all cockpit view. You could not go to like a third-person view of the ship. Trying to think what else. Just the 2 factions. They haven't said anything else. There are 4 ships available on each side at launch. Well, that have been announced so far. So for the Rebels, it's the X-Wing, the Y-Wing, the A-Wing, and the U-Wing, which is really interesting because the U-Wing is not necessarily a fighter, but it's more of a support ship. And then for the Imperials, it's the TIE Fighter, the TIE Interceptor, the TIE Bomber, and the TIE Reaper, which is the support ship that you saw in Rogue One that Krennic is flying around in on Scarif. It's a little diamond-shaped thing.
Okay.
And they're showing in the gameplay trailer how these kind of like play a supporting role in that, like they can snag another ship in a tractor beam and hold them there for someone else to get to kill. They can help like a TIE Bomber or Y-Wing to reload. So it's a really interesting aspect that they're putting into it. And like I play, I've spoken of numerous times on this show, I play the X-Wing miniatures game. And both these ships are in that game. They play very similar functions in the game. So I'm really interested to see what they are going to, how they're going to utilize those 2 ships in those roles. What's going to draw me to want to fly those ships? It's going to be interesting to see how. I really hope it's a game that you can't just lone wolf it. Like in online, I really hope it's a game where you see people who are squads that are working together be more successful than people that are just lone wolfing it. Because I think it will be interesting to see how squads decide to form. Because when you think of just like efficiency, to have 5 ships, a Reaper, an Interceptor, a Fighter, and a Bomber, that's not very efficient. You don't necessarily know which role that squad is playing, because each of those ships serve a vastly different role within the forces they're serving. So yeah, I'm so far I'm really excited about it. I'll be interested to see what ships they decide to add. People are already clamoring for the B-Wing. And I'm just trying to think, because if you're going to put in a ship on one side, you have to kind of put in an equivalent on the other. And I'm trying to remember what model ties are considered canon right now. And so far, the only other one I'm thinking of is the TIE Defender. And that is probably a superior ship to the B-Wing. But yeah, it's coming out October, and I'm extremely cautiously extremely excited about it. If that makes sense.
That's totally fair. I mean, it certainly looks cool, but there's enough baggage around EA to give us a little pause.
Right.
So we'll see.
Do you given what you've seen of it? I mean, I've been rambling on about this thing for probably like 20 minutes now, but given what you've seen of it so far, $40 price tag, would you give it a shot?
I'm a tough nut to crack, Carl. For me to pay full price, even at $40, I'd have to really be all in. Because if it's $40 now, I know that it will be $20, X months from now. So
right.
I could probably wait, to be honest with you. But if I play it at your place or something and it's fantastic, well, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
So
cool.
We'll see.
Oh, one last thing really quickly on it. They mentioned that ship customization is going to be a big part of it.
Oh, cool. That's
not
neat.
not just like mechanical and tactical things that you can upgrade your ship with, like, upgrading your gun in a first-person shooter, but also cosmetic stuff. Like, they showed, like, a red TIE bomber.
Yeah. That's cool.
Designs and squad insignias and stuff like that. I got really excited in the first trailer when I saw the TIE Interceptor with the red stripe on the wings, because that's Saber Squadron. And I was like, oh, you guys are doing Saber Squadron. You had my interest, sir. Now you have my attention. So yeah. So that was announced. All excited about that. What do we got next? This will be our last video game story. Nintendo is unfolding a new Mario game for us.
Oh,
see what I did there?
Oh, I see. Yes, I see. I mean, yeah.
We're getting a new Paper Mario game. Now, Drew, I have never played a Paper Mario game. Sell me on a Paper Mario game.
I can't exactly, because I'm not really into them.
Okay.
So some ancient history for you, okay?
Okay.
Super Mario RPG came out so many years ago on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. It was amazing. We all loved it. However, there would not be a proper sequel to Super Mario RPG. We instead then got the Paper Mario series, which is a spiritual successor to Super Mario RPG in the paper sticker aesthetic variety. So it's kind of an RPG-ish Mario series that is now developed into its own brand, and it's it's been this long. It's obviously supplanted Super Mario RPG in the public consciousness and in Nintendo's own legacy. It has a devoted fan base, but I'm just not. It's just not my cup of tea. That's all.
Okay.
I like my Mario in core variety, like I'm a core Mario title kind of guy, and kart variety. That's really generally it.
All right then. So, question: will we see another Mario and Zelda proper game on the Switch?
That's a very good question. Without E3 happening, it's really hard to say. We already know that Breath of the Wild 2 is under development right now. Now, what did I say earlier on in this episode? I said that previous Zelda titles have been announced and then pushed back to be launch titles for the next iteration of Nintendo hardware. But those titles were entirely new titles. Breath of the Wild 2 is a formal sequel to Breath of the Wild, and from what we have seen of it, aesthetically, it looks to be the same, it looks to be the same engine, the same aesthetic, etc. So we don't know much past that, but if they're using the same engine, if they're using the same assets, if they're just making a new adventure in a similar fashion, but with allegedly new protagonist options, like the ability to play as Zelda, things like that, then I don't know why it couldn't see the light of day on the Switch. But if it is beyond that in scope, then without E3 this year, because, we don't know. There's so much we don't know. We don't know if they were planning on showing more of it at E3 this year. We literally have no idea. So let's just pretend that we don't know, a thing. How long has the Switch been out now? 3-4 years?
I'll say 3 years.
Okay. I feel like it's reasonable to expect Breath of the Wild 2 on Switch. Another core Mario title, I think, might be pushing it. I think you're going to see that on the next Nintendo console, probably as a launch title.
Man,
but that's hard to say. It's so hard to say.
Okay.
E3's cancellation really is it puts all things into question. I have no idea because I don't know what they were planning on showing. I know there's rumors of that remaster collection of Sunshine, Mario 64, and the Galaxy games, allegedly.
Well, do you think E3 really threw a wrench into that presentation? Because they just do directs for E3 anyway.
Which they also canceled as a result of E3 being canceled. I know that they do the direct and they don't have a direct stage presence, but okay, well, E3's canceled. You could still do whatever you were planning on doing, right? Well, yeah, but they canceled that too. So what's going on? Are they just using this as an opportunity to say, you know what, there's no pressure this year. We don't have to show our wares to drum up interest and hype and headlines and boost the stock when no one else is going to do anything either. So I have no idea what impact this really has on them. It could take pressure off of them. It could add pressure for all we know. In a phrase that I'm sure we're all sick and tired of hearing right now, Carl, in these uncertain times, I don't know what to tell you. But But just given the way things have kind of gone, I feel like they've already shown their hand with Breath of the Wild 2, so I think that'll see the Switch. But a successor to Mario Odyssey, I think that's going to have to wait for the next system. But I could be totally wrong. Right now, if you think about it, there has to be, like, Nintendo is a first party software company first. Like, you buy Nintendo hardware to buy Nintendo software.
Right.
Great third party software exists, but you're not buying it for that. That's like a bonus, right? So Animal Crossing was the last big title for the Switch. Well, it's out, and it's a huge success, and, we're all happy with that. But then the obvious question becomes, okay, what's next? And I don't know what the next, because, Paper Mario is Paper Mario, whatever, it's fine, but that's a niche. Honestly, that's a niche title for a niche audience. The big gun titles, well, we don't know what's it gonna be. We haven't seen anything about Metroid Prime 4 since its cancellation. Well, it's scrapping and restarting of development. Cancellation is the wrong term. It is coming, but they started from scratch. We've seen nothing since that restart announcement. So, could it be that? I don't know. Could it be? I'm going to say it, and I'm going to regret it because I know it's not. I know it's not going to happen. But could it be Earthbound? Could it be Mother? No, but let me say it just to dream a little bit. Could it be Donkey Kong? Unlikely. Donkey Kong kind of lost his shine over the years. I really don't know, but Nintendo knows they have to have big guns coming because they have to keep the big guns coming.
Yeah.
But without E3, I don't know when we're going to find out what those big guns are.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get something from them soon.
Yeah. I'm a little thirsty, Carl.
As someone who does not play Animal Crossing, I'm even thirstier.
Well, there's a lot of great stuff on sale right now, if that helps you.
Yeah, there is obviously, Street Rage 4 is fantastic. I got the Super Mario Bros. Game, but that's a Wii U game. It's not really a Switch game. It was a $4 game. It was called Concept Destruction. It's a destruction derby game. The cars are cardboard, and it's for, it might be the best $4 I've ever spent because William loves it. It's fun to play, man. If you just want to crash them, he calls it Crash Cars. We play Crash Cars. Like, if you just want to crash some cars together and see cool wrecks, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, the indie selection is super strong on the Switch. So there's definitely plenty out there. I still keep forgetting that Castle Crashers is on the Switch. I've always wanted to kind of go back to that game and replay it. Did you ever play Castle Crashers?
On the Xbox 360, yeah, many years ago.
It was great. It was such a great game. So yeah, Switch still in a good place. We need to see what's on the horizon. So, okay, moving on now. Let's swap back really quickly to the world of comics. Big news earlier in the month from DC. DC has ended its distribution agreement with Diamond.
Yeah, kind of a big deal. This is a little inside baseball, I think, for most listeners. They might not understand, but Diamond is a company, and they are the only company for the last 20 plus years that they're the only distributor of comic books in the country.
and not only comic books, but like collectibles, certain collectibles.
Yeah. They a lot falls under the Diamond umbrella, but let's just speaking strictly for comics. They're the only game in town. If you're a store, you order your comics from Diamond. Period. With the pandemic, Diamond shut down, and DC wanted to get books out, and they had no means to do so. So they sought alternative means. They found them, and as such, they are now abandoning Diamond. Now, just for perspective, Marvel tried this in the 90s to disastrous results. Now, that's not to say that history has to repeat itself. That will remain to be seen. But it is a significant move. It's a very significant move to, again, Diamond's been the only game in town for a long time. And for one of the big two to say, you know what, we're done with you, that's a pretty seismic shift. We'll see how it keeps up. It's hard to say. Again, this was tried before, back in the 90s, but the 90s was a different time. Numbers were different. Distribution chains were different. We'll see how this affects things. Speaking to one shop, they're fine with it, and they've seen no hiccups with it, and they're rather happy about the situation. But that's not to say that larger stores with more than one distribution house to deal with might be one more hurdle for them to overcome. I don't know. We'll see how it shakes out.
So, having worked part-time for a comic store for a moment, and actually a couple of years now when I think about it.
Time flies.
And, we had Will from Iron Buffalo on our show, and, prior to pandemic, I was going there every week to play X-Wing, so had a really good relationship with Will, and, Amy over at Pulp 716, where I get my books now, and a bunch of other people who have had to either own and brand shops or have been in charge and they're purchasing for the shops. I've never heard one good thing about Diamond.
Yeah, no, their rep is not good, and
and when you're the only player in the game, you make your big clients happy, but where else are the other guys going to go? Now there's a possibility of that changing, and I heard the CEO of Diamond an interview again on Fat Man Beyond. I think it was last month or the month before. I'd never heard this guy talk or anything. 20 minutes in talking, I was like, I do not like this guy at all. At all. And this is me saying that. So if it took him that quickly to get me not to like him, it should give you kind of a gauge. So yeah, I mean, I kind of hope it works out. As we've always said on the show, competition is good, and breeds good things. So I hope this works out for DC, and shops can get some other options out there. And so it brings us to our last news story of the day, as it was asked about in the questions. This is one of two films that Joker I said wasn't going to happen, and I was wrong about Joker. Should it have happened, though? Is another question altogether. But there was another film that I didn't say it wasn't going to happen, but I said I'll believe it when I see a trailer. Well, Drew, we have our first trailer for Bill and Ted Face the Music. And not often I'm happy about being wrong, and trust me, folks, I'm wrong a lot. I am very happy about being wrong this time. And I will just say it right now, I am here for Prison Yard Bill and Ted.
Yes. Isn't it weird that Keanu looks older without the beard?
Yeah. Yeah, it really does.
Hey, look. I was already going to, be all in for this no matter what. But when I saw Death, I was just like, all right, I'm all in. You got me.
We have Bill, we have Ted, we have Death. Fortunately, obviously, because we lost George Carlin years ago, we won't have Rupert. Will we have stations?
Oh, good question. I hope so.
Will we have stations? Will we have Bob Genghis Khan?
Probably not. But we are getting Prison Bill and Ted.
Prison Bill and Ted. Jacked to all get out.
It's madness. Madness.
It's great. It was not a very long trailer, but just like that's all they could show me until release. I'd be like, okay, let's go.
This movie has no right to exist, and yet there's the trailer for it. It's real, and I'm all in. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah. So let's do it. It's gonna be great. Drew, I think that just about does it.
Yeah, we managed to get a 2-hour episode without any Star Wars discussion.
Imagine if we tried to do episode 3. Oh man.
Yeah. No, we'll save that for the next round.
Yeah.
Hopefully there will be, so long as nothing else terrible happens.
Shut up.
Uh-huh.
It's 2020, Drew. We don't joke about things like that. Remember what I said when Alan sent us that article about a bear being sighted in Cheektowaga? I said, well, it's 2020, so the bear probably shoots racist murder hornets that are infected with COVID out of its mouth.
I feel like we're still waiting for those murder hornets to show up. So
it's true. We don't need to laugh and point at the fate.
Yeah, right. Don't poke the bear, is what you're saying?
Yes, don't poke the bear.
Okay, I won't poke the bear.
Especially if it shoots racist murder hornets that are infected with COVID. Our friend Tim posted an article on Facebook. I saw Florida, go figure, telling people not to flush their meth down the toilet because it can create hyper-aggressive alligators. Or
oh my God.
Wait for it, and I just coined this myself. Methigators. You ready to deal with methigators, Drew?
That sounds horrifying, to be honest with you.
So,
Breaking Bad never touched that topic.
Yeah. Methigators. Sounds like a bad science fiction movie.
Yes.
Then again, so does 2020.
Yeah.
All right, folks. We appreciate you joining us. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Again, our goal is not to distract. Our goal is just to spend quality time with you guys. Please pay attention to what's going on. Listen, learn. Don't let this moment pass you by. If you got kids, fully embrace this moment so you can tell your kids about this. I'm hopeful that we are at a turning point in our history as a country, in our history as a species. I'm very hopeful that this is a turning point to better days. So, thank you again for joining us. We appreciate you all. We love you all. Be excellent to each other, please. If you want to reach out to us, contact us also, send questions, any thoughts. Let us know what you're thinking, what you're feeling. You can find us the following social media locations. You can follow us on Twitter at Devils Do Pod. You can go to facebook.com/Devils Do Pod and like our page. You can email us at thedevilsdopod@gmail.com, or you can find all these resources available to you on our website, thedevilsdopodcast.com. Drew, any closing thoughts?
You already said to be excellent to each other, so I will just have to finish that thought and say, socially distance, party on, dudes.
Yes. Air guitar works just as good 6 feet apart.
That's right.
Yeah. So, all right, folks, we appreciate you. Everything goes as planned. We'll be back in a couple weeks talking about episode 3. We can't be absolutely certain of that because only a Sith deals in absolutes. I could feel the anger growing in Drew.
I'm just gonna let that one roll.
All right, folks. Thanks again for joining us. Court Citure.